Hey everybody, welcome to the third video in the Growing Your Kingdom series. Today we're going to be talking about Tavern Generals, what to focus on when they come up, or if you use my strategy on getting all the generals all at once with a mass number of gems and things, and just getting them. You need to know which ones to pick. So again, this is not about every player's best generals. This is about the ones in the tavern that are obtainable for the average player. Which ones should you pick up so you don't waste your money, you don't waste your time? Okay. So to start off, I'm going to say that I'm splitting these generals into 4 different categories. The 2 most important ones are getting generals that are going to make it so that you can grow faster, because this whole series is about the average player growing to a higher level so they can actually compete in this game. So there are 2 areas to focus on. There's resource and there's bosses. And what I mean by bosses is not necessarily killing the bosses, but making sure that you're always getting double drops. Okay, and there's 2 others that I threw in there that are more geared towards the future, so that when you actually get to that level where you can start to compete, that you are equipped to do so. And those are getting PvP generals, and also to get subordinate city generals that you're going to put on your sub-cities. And I will have a future video that goes more in depth about subordinate city generals. So stay tuned for that, but for now I'll give you a very brief idea of how that works. Okay, so the first one to talk about is resource generals. You can see everything that's available in the game by clicking on the tavern and pressing recruit. And then at the very bottom right, there's one called portraits, and portraits will give you everything broken down by Europe, America, Japan, Korea, China, Russia, and other. Oh, and Arabia as well. So they're all sorted by location of where these historical figures are from, but not everything in here is available to the average player. So something like Queen Victoria, you know it's available because it doesn't have any red text here that says it's unavailable. On the other hand, if you look on something like, let's see, Queen Boudica, I believe, yep. The general is temporarily unavailable in the tavern. And what Evony means by temporarily, they basically mean permanently, because that hasn't changed ever. So don't expect anything to change, and some of these great generals that you can obtain in the tavern suddenly become available. That's not going to happen because, well, Evony. But there are, like I said in another video, there are ways to get some of those generals now using the Great General Chess and the fragments. So if you need more details on that, head over to that video afterwards. But still, there are some great generals in the tavern that are obtainable. For resources, I can't stress this one enough. The most important general in the game, in my opinion, is Queen Boudica. And Queen Boudica is just this wonderful general that is, or why am I saying Boudica? Oh my god. Jindiok. I'm saying Boudica because I looked at her a little ago and I guess she made an impression. Queen Jindiok is the most important general, in my opinion, in the game. Not for PvP, but just for overall play. She is so great at what she does. If you look at her special skill, after resource gathering, she brings back an extra 40% resources from world map resources, and if it's the alliance tile, she brings back 20% extra. So that means if you send Queen Jindiok at a level 14 tile, instead of bringing back 7 million when she completes it at the same speed she would normally, at any other general would normally, she also brings back 40% extra. So that's like 9.6 million, 9.8, I don't know. But every time you send it out, so over time, you get so many more resources. And if you actually upgrade her with the specialty, I believe, you get even more. But realistically, who has all the ability, all the items to get her to that? Not me, certainly. So I wouldn't worry about that. Just worry about her actual skill, 40% extra. That's huge. If you have 5 of those, and eventually when you have your 6th March slot, if you have 6 of those, you're going to be getting gathering resources so quickly that you're going to be able to grow very quickly. The other option for getting resources is a little harder to obtain, and technically it's a Tavern General, but not really that same location. It's from Wheel of Fortune. So in Wheel of Fortune, there are a couple different generals that you can obtain. You're not going to get her very often, and she's not as good as Queen Jindiok, but if you happen to come across her and you don't have Jindioks, Princess Lucy is a pretty good option. Okay, but I would always, in a heartbeat, replace her with a Queen Jindiok. Let me go back and show you Princess Lucy's talent here. Where is she anyway? She is not here. She's not here. She's definitely not in Japan. She's not in Korea. Lucy is not in China. She must be in other. All right, let's find her in other. Yeah, I think she's other. Okay, Princess Lucy, here you are. So increase resource gathering speed by 15%. 15% is good. So you're going to get through those tiles faster. You don't have the extra resources like Queen Boudica, but if you're very, very active and you're constantly sending her out, then she can be pretty good. The problem that I have is I'm not always going to be on Evony 24/7, so Queen Jindiok, man, I've got to fix that in my brain now. Queen Jindiok is always going to be using her bonus, whereas if I'm not on time in getting Princess Lucy sent out again, then I'm not really taking full advantage of her special skill. So to me, Jindiok is always better. All right, so if you come across Queen Jindiok, pick her up for sure. Now, boss generals. Boss generals are, in my opinion, the second most important thing to get. So the boss generals that I believe you should get are first priority Baybars. He has a 25% double drop rate. So that means that when you send him, whether it's with 5 troops and you're joining somebody else's rally or you're attacking a monster on your own, you have an increased 25% double item drop rate. When that boss chest comes from killing the level 11 boss, for example, 25% chance you'll get 2 of them instead of 1. And there are other ways that you can increase your double item drop rate. And for example, with VIP, so if you check out your VIP, you'll have an extra 10% maybe if you're 14. If you're 15, it goes up to 15% and so on. I don't think I'll ever get to these, but they are increases. You also get increase from prestige. So if you look at the rank details, like here, you'll see that Baron, for example, nothing. Viscount, nothing. But when you get into the higher ones, I believe you start to get double drop. Or not. I guess I'm confused. I thought there was another way. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that there is, that I'm missing something. So check the comments. I'm sure somebody is going to point out what I'm missing here. Sometimes memory is not the greatest thing when these things were done a long time ago. All right, and what's the other thing I want to show you? VIP time. So remember, you have to have VIP time active to actually take advantage of those bonuses. So double drop rate. Oh, the last thing I wanted to tell you about is Baybars. Don't make this mistake. Baybars has his 25% double drop rate. When I find one, okay, here's Baybars. So he has 25% double drop rate just from his special skill. Notice that I don't have another book here for increase luck, right? Because that's the other option. You could increase the double drop rate normally on any general by, I don't even have any, development, I believe, luck. So level 1 gives you 5%, and a level 3 or level 4, if I have one, I think it gives you 18%. So 18% versus 25%, it's a no-brainer. Baybars is better than another general in terms of luck. So he would be the general of choice for bosses, for sure. There are some other people that will suggest, for example, and this is not a bad suggestion, that if you have a lot of boss rallies going on, there are some generals that increase your march speed to monsters, for example, and that's great. If that works for you, then get that. But I prefer Baybars because I like higher percentages of getting double drops. I can always speed back if I need to. But anyway, so that's my choice. If you are not able to get all 5 or all 6 Baybars that you need, then consider picking up temporarily Cleopatra. Cleopatra has a 20% double drop rate. It's better than the 18%, and it doesn't cost a skill book. You can just really get a Cleopatra, for example, not waste any skill books, just leave her alone, and then send her to rallies. And that's a very cheap way to get those double drops. Okay. I do have a note on here, world boss, because it's a boss general, right? So right now I'm using Baybars because my Baybars is set up to, like, I can kill 14s pretty easily. I can't kill a 15 solo, but you know, I can do quite a bit of damage with mine. However, my Baybars, obviously the percent double drop is useless when it comes to a world boss. So ideally I would have another general that would replace Baybars for the world boss. And I'm kind of saving up for some other ones, and we'll see if that ever happens. But for now, he works just fine for me because I don't want to invest in another general and kind of split my resources or my energies in ways that are going to be less beneficial. Oh, and now I just remembered as I was clicking through where the other drop rate comes from. So there's a couple other things now that my brain's starting to work again. First, instead of using a dragon like on my high-powered Baybars, you could use the Bird of Hurricane and just have that equipped to one of them. And I do have one of my Baybars with that, and that's the one I usually send when somebody else is running a rally so that I have a higher percentage. So I've got 25 plus 15, so that's now 40% double drop rate just from those two things. And then, of course, I don't know how this slipped my mind, but you also have rings that you put onto your general. And, oh man, it's such a pain in the butt to scroll through these. So you can also put rings. It can either be King's Ring, which is pretty cheap, and 26%. So now I'm at 66% double drop rate on this guy because of the Spiritual Beast, the Bird of Hurricane, and the ring and the book. So that's great. And then here I have a dragon ring. It has slightly higher, but I don't know if generally, I don't know if using that materials on a ring is really that important for just a couple percent. I have it because I kill monsters with that and I kill bosses with that one. But for your average one where you're just going to send to other people's rallies, just do a King's. It's plenty. All right, so that is boss generals. And the last two tabs that I have here, the last two things I want to talk about are future bosses that you would consider as you're trying to collect generals. So the first one is PvP. There's not a whole lot of options available in the Tavern for PvP, but there are some that are quite good. The first one I want to talk about is Trajan. And where are you? You are, man, Europe, I think, right? Are you here? Are you here? Why can't I find this dude? Maybe he's an other. Whenever I don't know where something is, it's usually an other. Other. And there you are. Okay. I feel like he should be in Europe, you know? He looks kind of, yeah, a great Roman emperor. You'd think he'd be under Europe. Apparently, they don't know that Rome is in Europe. Okay. Anyway, Trajan. So his ability increases ground troops attack and HP when the general's leading the army. He is great. He's one of the better ground generals that you can get. And the nice thing about that is ground is one of the units that has very few debuffs. So that has to do with subordinate cities, and we'll talk about that later. But short story, Trajan is great. You should pick up one Trajan. It's not something you'll put on the wall. He's something you'll use in PvP when you have ground troops. He's great. Get him. One. Next one, Lee. Where are you? Lee, I think you're probably here. In Korea. No. China. There we go. All right, Li Shimin. So he increases march size by 10% and range troop attack by 15%. He's a good option if you are wanting to do some archer PvP because you have a bigger march that you can send, and it also increases the percentage of troop attack. And because this is a mixed one, march size and troop attack, you can still put a troop size book and a ranged troop attack book, and it won't negate the other one. It'll still be you'll still be able to put those in. Some of the other ones, if it's just a straight stat, like I'll give you an example of one that you should not get that looks good but is actually not good. So Jumong, for example, 35% ranged troop attack. That's great. But now you cannot use a ranged troop attack book because it's that single stat. But because Li Shimin is split, march size and troop attack, you can still put those books on. So you'll get another whatever percent, 20% or 30%, 25%, I don't remember what the level 4 book is, but it'll increase by that amount as well. And you can also increase the march size. So that's one benefit to getting him. I don't have him, or apparently I do, but I don't use him because I have other ones that I do use for archers. But he is a good tavern option. The last one that I'll say on here is not so much PvP, but he is PvP. Amir Timur. What you use him for is when somebody has resources, maybe their armies have already been decimated, but they still have hundreds of millions of resources. He has an increased troop load, so you can send him with some troops and you'll bring back more resources every time. So it is worthwhile to have one of these guys. Just be careful that you don't get trapped when you're sending him, because he's probably not likely going to be equipped with all the gear because you're just trying to get resources. But definitely get one of him. Now, the last topic is subordinate city generals. I'm going to talk briefly about this one because it does deserve its own video, which I'll get to. But basically, the idea of a subordinate city general is just a general that you put on the walls of your subordinate cities. Look, if you look at some of the ones that I have on here, which some of them are just to level up, but Andrew Jackson. All right, so I have Andrew Jackson on this wall, and if I go over to Andrew Jackson, I'll show you his special skill and what he does. All right, here's an Andrew Jackson. So Andrew Jackson reduces enemy troops, ranged troops attack by 20% and mounted troop HP by 20%. So when somebody's attacking me, or when I'm attacking them with my subordinate cities, then their troop attack for ranged and mounted troop HP is going to be reduced because he is leading one of the subordinate city armies. All right. The important thing to remember about these is if it's a debuff like this, it reduces by a percentage. They work on subordinate cities generally. If it is an increase like Trajan's, like increases your ground troop attack and defense by 15%, it does work, but only for your subordinate city troops. So it won't work for your main army. So the only kind of general that you want to put on your subordinate city walls are ones that have reduced percentages of HP, defense, attack, those sorts of things. Okay, anything else won't work. And they're completely useless. They'll only affect your subordinate city troops, which are usually dead anyway. So, getting to the important stuff. The ones that you want to look for, that you want to pick up when you see them, are Gustavus. He's in Europe. I know that one for sure. And he reduces enemy ranged troop and siege defense by 15%. And the increase doesn't work. So just look at the reduction. The reduction by 15% defense for ranged and siege. Not terrible. Okay, he's not the best, but not terrible either. He's worth picking up 1 or 2 if you don't have subordinate city generals. Andrew Jackson, I just showed you. You definitely want a few of these. The reason you want this one is because ranged troop attack is really hard to reduce. There aren't a lot of options, and they're very expensive options to reduce ranged troop attack, and a lot of people use ranged units. So having several Andrew Jacksons reduces the damage that they're going to be able to do to you. So these are great options. And the other option that is something you should pick up is the Empress. Where are you? Not this Empress, the other one. She's not here. Maybe she's in other. Empress. All right. Empress Dowager 6C. So she reduces enemy troop defense by 15% and enemy ground troop defense by another 15%. So every unit that is attacking you is reduced by 15% defense, but then ground troops have another, so they're 30% reduction of defense. She's great. Definitely pick her up, and Andrew Jackson and maybe Gustavus. Those are great options for you. Okay, so hopefully this video has been beneficial and you have a better idea of what to pick up in the tavern. I'm going to record another video soon. I don't know if it's going to be today or in a few days or in a week, but how to get generals effectively in the tavern. So look for that when it comes out, and please subscribe or like or something, share the videos so that the knowledge can be shared with other people. Thank you for watching.